Jacob,
Ryan.
did you know that board games do not have to be huge boxes that have 300 bits to them and miniatures the size of a small person?
I don't believe you.
Well, I'm here to blow your mind. I want to talk about a game that I received that has a total of 18 cards. That's it. It's a total of 18 cards. There is nothing else to this game. It comes in a little fancy wallet. You can put it into your back pocket and be like, hey guys, you want to play a game?
And can I put it in my front pocket?
Yes, you may.
Oh, all right. The versatility. Yeah.
This game that I'm talking about is called Liberation. Liberation is a Button Shy game. Have you heard of Button Shy before?
I have.
Button Shy is a publisher that specializes in, I would say, games of this size. Games that have, I think, the essential components to them, mostly card-based, I would say. And Liberation is an 18-card hidden movement deduction card game. So let me explain.
For 2 players?
For 2 players, yes.
Well, it's blowing my mind already.
All right, so here it is. So in this game, you play as one of 2 roles. You can play as the Dynasty or you can play as the Liberation. So very much... Oh, I have a good comparison that I'm going to tell you at the very end of this, okay?
Go on.
So you can play as the Dynasty or the Liberation, and you decide which specific, role you want to play. And you get this little tiny, I would say, kind of role book that tells you a little bit more information about what you are and the actions and the special cards that you can get. And so the cards are split in 2, I believe. No, there's something else. No, they're not split in 2. My apologies. They're double-sided cards, all right? So they have the ability... So on these cards, there's like map... there's like a space system to them. And then on this space system, there's planets that all connect to each other via these like fancy lines. And the objective of the game is the Liberation is... running away or is hiding from the Dynasty. So as you can kind of tell, there is some certain Star Wars Empire and Rebel, analogy going on here. And so the Dynasty is trying to find out where the hidden base of the Liberation is on one of these specific kind of planets within the solar system and attack it to win the game. And the Liberation is trying to survive as long as possible for 3 turns of the deck, or 3 times the deck gets cycled. So essentially this game is an 18-card deck of Star Wars Rebellion.
Oh, interesting.
Isn't that an interesting comparison?
That is interesting comparison.
So yeah, there's things where like at the beginning of the game, the Liberation will get like 3 cards and we'll look at the cards and choose one face down that is their hidden base. And then a Dynasty gets like 2 cards and can like inhabit one of them. And what ends up happening is they're kind of having to go through and figure out with all the cards that are in the deck, deduce which ones that they have seen, the Dynasty that is, and make like a mental note of like, okay, so I'm on planet D. They all have kind of different planet names, but they all have like alphabetized, like, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, so that it's a little bit easier to kind of comprehend. And each one of these specific planet cards has like different abilities that both the Liberation and the Dynasty can use. And there's different ways that you can utilize these specific cards. Like, for instance, you have to exhaust these different planets that the Dynasty inhabits in order to use that specific card that's in your hand that allows you to like, see whether or not the Liberation is on one of these specific planets, or be able to attack, or to be able to inhabit other planets around in the solar system, what have you. You can also look at the top cards of the deck. There's a lot of different things that you can kind of do in order to essentially suss out where the Liberation can be. But the Liberation also has like these specific missions that exist on these planets where they're able to, if they're on the cusp of being found out, you can actually like switch the different planets that they reside on in order to escape away from the Dynasty. And a game takes like 15 to 20 minutes. It can also end relatively quickly, like just through the luck of the draw. Like the dynasty is like, I'm gonna attack here at this planet, and then I was like, oh yeah, that's where I was. I'm like, huzzah, I win. Like that's just how I think it can kind of end up working out. But yeah, it's just like this was a little micro game. I like the concept and idea that there was like a hidden role or a hidden movement type of game that existed in 18 cards that I thought was interesting. And the only complaint that I do have about this game is that you, as a dynasty, I think you have to take notes, and which is kind of weird because otherwise you do kind of have to take mental notes in your head, and that's gonna vary between person to person in terms of if they like that or not, because a lot of the times you'll cycle through this deck and you're like, okay, I feel like I've seen this card before, but you can never really remember. So the deduction in terms of where this player was gets a little bit foggy after a while, which can make things a little bit difficult. And I did win both as the Liberation and as the Dynasty, but man, when I was playing as the Dynasty, I mean, I pretty much made a Hail Mary, like, okay, I think it has to be here. It's between like this and one other place. And I picked the right place. And I'm wondering if that's what the game was kind of going for, and I think that is correct. But I could see how this game could get frustrating if, you had to, like, if you couldn't take notes. Otherwise, it can lead to some frustrating moments. But yeah, just a nice little kind of, I kept it in my jacket for a while and tried it out, and it was decent. It was like $8. It came with a nice little, like, I don't know if it was leather, but like faux leather, like jacket. It's slick.
That's cool.
It's slick for 18 cards. It felt like it was a good experience. I liked it. It's better. It's like, Love Letter also. Well, Love Letter's more for like party. You're out at a restaurant and playing, but it's just like if you and your significant other that are into like Fury of Dracula and stuff want to invest in this type of like, cheap game and get a similar experience to like a Star Wars Rebellion or to a Fury of Dracula, like, heck, this is decent. This is good. Like, it really gets the good stuff in this game in 18 cards. It's pretty impressive.
I want to find a copy of this game. That sounds really great.
Really?
Mostly
cool.
because, I love that idea of, honestly, once you said a small version of Rebellion. I have opinions about Rebellion.
You have opinions
that I will share at another time. But this one sounds just super fun. That'd be fun to just kind of play with my wife.
I wonder if you can print and play this game.
I believe they have a print and play. I don't know if they still do. I am on Board Game Geek. They don't have files up, but the pictures of it are of a print and play. So I don't know if they have actual images of the game up right now. I don't know. Is this a game that you backed on Kickstarter?
I did.
Or did you find... Oh, you did. Okay.
I did back on Kickstarter. And they also have another one called... it's another very, small card game that is like of 3 different timelines. It's like the perfect item. I'll find it here in just a second, but you're like, all these cards have like front and backs, and that they all exist in certain timelines, and you're supposed to arrange these items in a certain way by a series of actions in order to get them into the right timeline to win. And that to me also really caught my eye. I didn't invest into that one. I just bought into the print and play, which was like $3, which makes sense, right? So it's not like, I mean, I bet you could probably go out and truly find something, but at the same time, like, there's something to be had about how much design can exist in like sub 20 cards. And for me, this Liberation game certainly seemed to have hit that mark. So,
all right, I would hunt down a copy.
Sweet,
that's cool.
Liberation. Designer John Simantov. And publisher by Button Shy, with the artistry done by Sarah Boivin.
Boivin?
Oh no,
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's all right.
Cool game.